So
Greetings, my possum friends. Greetings. We're almost to the season here. We're going. Today is our Do Not Draft podcast here on Offensive Points, and we have a lot of fun with this. We're gonna be arguing, hopefully, right? And we're gonna be fighting. It's gonna be awesome, and hopefully we crush a few dreams here of some people that I know. At least I have a couple people that people are very high on for some reason whatsoever. But anyway, to each his own. It's fantasy football season. You draft the team you want to draft. We're just here to help you do it a little bit better. So we had the Fantasy Football Expo this weekend. It was an absolute blast. My voice is finally back. Thank God. It's close to being back. Still a little bit raspy. But Billy and I went out there. Josh had baby duty. He missed everyone. So I'll let him send his condolences for being gone from the squad for the Fantasy Football Expo. But it was great. I drafted in the Kings Classic second year. Awesome draft with great dudes. Gary got everyone some incredible gifts that really show the comedic genius that man is. We had a great time. Bill, you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, I just want to kind of introduce our third member of our podcast, anybody who may be listening to us for the first time. We are a three-man operation. I know you wouldn't notice that by the expo since it was just me and Joe, but we do actually have a third voice on this podcast. So thank you for everybody who's maybe tuning in for the first time. Josh, go ahead and take it away.
Oh, no. See, the thing is, they're going to hear enough of me. If they don't know who I am already, then they're in for a treat because Green Man or Green Shirt is he's just mean. I'm not even wearing a green shirt right now, but he's just kind of rude about it all. But back to Joe's
green
original
shirt
point.
is an asshole.
Yes, 100%. Is that what it said? Okay, that's probably
just like Grant. Grant, you asshole.
I will just say, in general, the Expo is one of my favorite weekends of the year, and I was super sad to miss it. You guys are terrible at keeping me informed about what was going on. I kept trying, and you're like, yeah, man, it's a good time. And I'm like, yeah, I bet it is, motherfucker.
But I saw 4 a.m. more last weekend than I've seen it in years and years past. The 4 a.m. I witnessed it a bunch.
I did get to play golf with Joe yesterday, and he still was good at golf, even though he was hungover. I asked him, I was like, you're up for beer? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, do you want to drink beer? And you're like, yeah. And I was like, well, why don't we have any yet? And he's like, yeah. It's like, I saw 4 a.m. a lot. It's just like, I could tell your brain wasn't fully functioning, which is great. Then my dad ended up buying it anyway, so it was all good.
Yeah.
Good idea to
Cheers to buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, having beers outside of Doubletree in Canton, the beers just hit different. That's really what it is.
They go down a
Plus,
little
we
bit
were having
smooth.
some Wisconsin exclusive beers, which was cool.
Matt brought a bunch of New Glarus down, and
Moon
Man.
Next year, I'm going to talk to Bob, and we're going to do it. We're going to figure out a beer swap. I don't know what time this would take place, but like everyone brings a 6 or 12 pack from their hometown, and everyone just trades beers, and it could be a great time.
The Doubletree on Saturday night at like 1 a.m. It's a popping place.
Time we're doing it. Maybe it's an unofficial thing. Maybe I just don't even talk to Bob about it.
No.
I mean, Bob was at this.
Yes, he was.
Maybe I'll invite Bob. I just won't ask him if I can do it or not.
At the
just tell him
Doubletree
that I'm doing it.
No, it was a good time to be had. But yeah, thank you to everyone out there who came up, said some nice words. We heard a lot of good, nice words, so that was really positive to hear. Gives us a little boost in the why we do this. So I'm happy to hear from everybody. Yeah, pats on the back all around. Okay, well, let's talk some football. We got some news to get to. Let's get some instant reactions. Matthew Judon was traded to the Atlanta Falcons for a third-round draft pick. What are our instant reactions? Josh, start with you.
Atlanta thinks they're all in. That's my instant reaction. I think they think they're all in.
That's
they're
fair.
going. I mean, they traded a third-round pick for him. They obviously have to pay him. That's the biggest thing. But I don't really see them. I mean, yeah, they're going to have some contract issues in the future, but right now they're not paying anyone money. So, I mean, they get to decide if they want Pitts after this year, maybe the year after. If they can probably tag him, they'll figure out what they like. If they like London in the next year or two, Bijan's still got a couple years. Kirk they already paid, and then they got his backup, or hopefully his backup for the future. So, I mean, honestly, it's not a bad move for them. I mean, they're paying nobody big money at the moment. So to go get a pass rusher means that they want to win right now. So, and that division is wide open. We've talked about it all off season, is NFC South looked like shit last year, and now it's anyone's game, and it looks like Atlanta's trying to pay the price to get it.
Yeah, Atlanta went all in. It was absolutely incredible, especially after Trice's injury. They had to do something. They bring in Judon, who is absolutely spectacular. I've been getting Caden Ellis in drafts a lot, and I think this helps him out a lot because he's going to get to rush a couple more open lanes and get you some sacks from that linebacker position. And then they hosted Justin Simmons on a visit. I hope they bring Justin Simmons in to pair up with Bates, and that defense is going to be absolutely nasty. So I'm loving some Falcons this year.
Something to note there, though, the Saints also brought in Justin Simmons. So that's interesting to see that little division rivals, like, we don't want you to get him, so we're going to sign him. But I would say probably leaning more towards the Saints now, just because of, 1-year contract eats up a lot of money right now.
Well, that would help us, honestly, because we've been going back and forth between this Abrams and Howden thing, like who's going to get the job. And if it's Simmons, that'd be awesome.
And Marcus Johnson, or not Marcus Johnson, who is the safety that got the coveted safety? Who?
Tyrion. I don't know. Billy, how do you say his first name? Tyrone Matthew, right? He's still playing?
Matthew? Yeah.
Oh,
is that how you say it? I've been saying it wrong.
Just call him the Honey Badger.
The Honey Badger. That's my bad. It's just one of those guys that, like, he gets interceptions, but what else does he do? Like, coverage wise, it's not the best. So I don't know how the hell I let the Honey Badger escape my mind. But yeah, so their safeties, it makes sense for Simmons to go here. The Falcons already have some pretty decent safeties, so I'm kind of shocked that they're going after Simmons. But like we just said, they're all in.
Yeah, no, a lot of fun. I actually like this a lot. I thought the Atlanta Falcons were all along. I thought they were just going to try to make something work with Trice, and now just giving up a 3rd-round draft pick, they can, they have somebody they can put in that position for years now. As far as the Patriots go, it looks like it's Uche or Anthony Jennings season potentially, so that's kind of exciting. Those guys were never going to get a chance with Judon standing in the way, and the way that the Patriots seem to be doing this rebuild, I don't think that they were planning on paying Judon anyway, because more of a long-term build than paying someone a lot of money right now. So it kind of worked out for both sides. They get a good draft pick. 3rd round's that's not a bad pick. They can find somebody in the 3rd round.
Right.
So I think this kind of works all the way around.
Complete the sentence for me. The Patriots are the blank worst team in the league this year.
I mean, I think they're worst or second worst. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking 3rd, but I appreciate you guys going a little higher than me.
Who is worse than them in your opinion?
Well, the Vikings. Yeah. I mean, we got to put that in there. The Giants, presumably.
The Giants are – come on now. The Giants are not worse than the Patriots right now on paper.
It's close. It's a lot closer than you think.
I don't even know how you can look at the Giants defense and say that is worse than the Patriots defense.
They got to score points.
But the offenses are better too. The offense is better too, I would say. Like, I don't know.
All right. Anyway, I like Keon White to make some noise now that Judon's gone, because he was awesome last year. I think
on the D line,
he can bump outside. He did some of that in college.
Okay.
I like it. I already had him as kind of my breakout this year, but now and with Barmore, he has leg blood clots, which is not good. So get Keon White.
Okay. I'm glad you're not making light of the blood clots.
No, not at all.
Joe.
I'm not Isaac.
Okay.
That's an inside joke. But
fair enough. All right. Going on to news story number 2. The Year from Hell has decided that the Vikings is where it's going to plant their flag this year, which they already kind of did last year after Kirk Cousins, but they lose J.J. McCarthy for the entire season with a torn meniscus. And then Jordan Addison got carted off in practice today. The coach did say that he appears okay. I will, however, say they also thought J.J. McCarthy was a 4 to 6 week injury until they got in there, and then it was out for the season. So we're going to take that with a grain of salt, saying they're just we're going to trust the medical staff's interpretation of the injury. We'll just wait. We'll wait until the doctors actually look in there. But guys, I mean, this is the Sam Darnold show. Are we excited for this or no?
Did the medical cart staff like unionize across the league or something?
Somebody's getting their money's worth. Like gas must have been like cheap, and they're like, you know what, we got to get the cart involved.
They
now.
switched to the electric.
They were like, no,
vehicles.
you have to use them on every injury that happens. You have to cart the player off.
Okay, so timeout. To be fair,
down,
we're talking about camp. There's no point in not carting them off. Why risk them walking? You know what I mean, right? So we're getting a lot of those news
the
stories.
cart team has to practice too for the season.
Yeah,
so.
and they got to practice not to look like a fool.
Actually, and the thing is, I think the worst word to ever read in one of these sentences is aircast. Yeah, you read aircast and you're like, oh my God, it's over. The leg's off. He doesn't even have a leg anymore, like, or an arm or whatever it is that they put in the aircast. Like, you just automatically assume the worst every time you see aircast, and that's exactly what they did for Jordan Addison. But I don't know. They seem to think it's going to be okay. We'll see.
Yeah. So just to go reiterate what Billy said, it's that medical staff. So like you have to really take it with a grain of salt. Like you can say he's all right, but until I hear a diagnosis, I mean, we had Tyron Tracy go through an issue, and we were like, they said leg injury, carted off, and everyone was just like, yep, he gone. Like naturally, because that's what you think, you know. And then all of a sudden, they're like, it's an ankle injury, and I'm like, oh, okay, so like 2 to 6 weeks, got it. Like that's better, way better than what a knee could be. So,
well, then the Donta Foreman thing is insane because when I got it, it sounded like it was a DeMar Hamlin situation all over again, and then he just pops out in his bag of practice the next day.
Practice like 2 days later, yeah.
It's crazy.
And then somebody had like a non-contact injury that ended up being nothing too at practice. I forgot who that was. But yeah, and then there was the Malik Neighbors thing that everybody was scared of for about 15 minutes. Like these injuries, they're not, you know, used to when you got a beat reporter tweet out an injury, that was it. It was over. You might.
They also knew the injury was. They said it was an ankle. They don't even say anything. They said leg. Gibbs, same concept, leg injury. Like you're not saying anything.
Yeah, and so it just makes it all the more complicated now because anytime there's anything that happens, you're just like, well, run to the waiver wire and see who's available.
Back to your original question, though.
Okay.
Everyone was like, oh, dude, Justin Jefferson's fine. He's quarterback proof. He's really good. And then J.J. McCarthy got hurt, and then they were just like, no, you can't draft Justin Jefferson anymore. I was like, they were saying Darnold was the starter the whole time, and we have to assume most of the time that he's going to be the starter till at least week 6, week 8. Like, why now is everyone off of Justin Jefferson?
I don't know, but the dip of Justin Jefferson could be great for everyone. Imagine getting him in the back half of the first round. I mean,
yeah, he's going there a lot now.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm cool after all the top 3 running backs are gone, top 4 wide receivers, and JJ just slips, and you're at the 11 spot. And you get to partner him with Saquon or something. I mean, there's some money there, which I always love the training camp news. But I mean, I will be honest with you, I'm not faithful that Sam Darnold is going to be able to prop up Justin Jefferson as well as
he'll be able to throw 14 balls in his general direction, which is basically what Dobbs did.
Yes, it'll be fine. 18 points, you know what I mean? Which isn't bad, you know what I mean? But like when you're looking at the difference between him and Jamar Chase this year, like Jamar Chase has the opportunity to get 40-50, and I think the 40-50s for Jefferson are going to be a little bit more few and far between, honestly.
I'd agree.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, you kind of got to trust Kevin O'Connell to work this out. Like, I don't know. According to Josh, Kirk Cousins didn't even do anything. It was basically he was just out there, and Justin Jefferson,
I still believe in Kirk Cousins not doing anything.
So, I mean, Kevin O'Connell should have Sam Darnold playing at a Kirk Cousins-esque level. I mean, I would think, right? That's pretty possible.
Yeah, possibly.
Sorry, inside joke. Anyway, let's move on to the last one, and it's not really news, but it's just an ongoing saga. Since we haven't been here in 2 weeks, we got to mention it. But the Brandon Ayuk news continues. The latest rumor is that there's a deal in place with the Steelers, but the 49ers are also still trying to work out a deal to re-sign him.
So in other words, nothing happened.
Pretty much. The only reason I think that this is interesting is because I can't tell if the 49ers are waiting on CeeDee Lamb to get paid or the Cowboys are waiting on Brandon Ayuk to get paid. I can't tell who is the one that's actually waiting the other one out here because the 49ers seem like it's a much 49ers seem like a much more stressful much more stressful situation than what's going on with the Cowboys, who are not trading CeeDee Lamb, obviously, but also doesn't seem like they want to pay him Justin Jefferson, and that's kind of interesting too. So,
and they shouldn't. CeeDee Lamb and Ayuk are so far apart. Go on with your point, but it's just crazy that
CeeDee Lamb's the wide receiver 1 this year, and probably
right.
years going forward. And then you got also Chase, who's wide receiver 2 or 3. You know what I mean? So like he's also looking to get paid. And then there's Ayuk at wide receiver 10, and he thinks he deserves wide receiver 2 money. I mean, I get it. Like you want your bag, you want to be secured, but you also like, I wonder how far they are off. Like, you know what I mean? I wonder if they're like, we'll make you the 10th highest paid wide receiver. And he's like, that's fucking bullshit. I should be the 3rd highest paid or the first.
He's not even the best receiver on his team. Like, I don't even, it's fucking garbage, dude.
Joe's going to be, it doesn't matter what IU gets paid at this point. Joe's going to be pissed.
No, I want him to get paid because I drafted him in the fucking Kings Classic, but
I did think that was a bold ass move, Joe, because you are the one that was the most like worried about Ayuk, and then you're like,
I think I'm most worried about. I've just been staring away from him.
Doing it.
No, I can never resist. I can say what I want here, but as soon as there is a risky pick to be made, I'm just like, take my house. I'm all in.
That's my guy.
It does feel that way. I mean, we've been watching that for years, Joe. That's a typical Joe Wiggins classic move there.
Honestly, though, it usually works. So there's that for you.
So go draft Brandon Ayuk.
We'll keep everybody updated on Ayuk. I mean, hell, the news could drop while we're talking in this podcast today, or it could be in a month. Who knows? So we'll keep you updated on that. But we haven't talked in a couple weeks, so had to at least mention it, even though it's been a very public thing that's been happening all the time. We're not even going to mention the CeeDee Lamb thing. I think it's hilarious what Jerry Jones is doing, but at the same time, it's not really news. It's just more goofball stuff going down in Dallas. Okay, today we are talking about the offensive points do not draft list. We do this every year. We go through a couple of players that we are absolutely not drafting. However, this year, we are debuting a new song that is the official OP Do Not Draft song. So without further ado, boys, here we go.
I'm scanning the list, making my pick for the winner. There's a name or two I never risk. You better be quick, they're bound to drop that ball. Fumble and fall.
I ain't taking no calls for players who stall. They'll leave you appalled. The same old story every year. Time to market clear. Let me be sincere.
Do not draft. Steer clear from the mess. You know the names by now. They're far from the best. We'll make it simple with your lead with ease. Just remember these names and avoid the disease.
Avoid the disease.
Avoid the disease, they say. That is courtesy of AI. So don't even really have to credit an artist there, and we can play it on the podcast because those people don't exist. That's the world we're living in.
Thank you, AI overlords. We appreciate your work. Thanks for making our podcast fun.
We appreciate you creating a offensive points do not draft song because
give me a good job when you take over, please.
What we needed to spruce things up a little bit.
We can help you. We can work in tandem.
For sure.
We can be friends.
All right. So let's get straight to this. Josh, are you kicking us off, right?
I sure am. Okay. So let's just get right into it. So as the current 10th pick in the draft, I can't personally say that this is a good investment for you. Last year, I witnessed someone draft Garrett Wilson at number 4. Can't say that was a good move for him. Albeit this was before Rodgers went down in his first Jets action. But even before that, it made zero sense to me. We're banking that Wilson is a first rounder, not only because Rodgers is still good, which that's a whole other caveat to all this, but also just the talent level of Wilson, which I'm honestly just starting to wonder, are we wrong about Garrett Wilson to begin with? I feel okay.
What? Sorry.
I feel like since year one, Wilson was destined for greatness, I believe is what people probably coined somewhere. At this point, I'm just thinking, is he destined for mediocrity? Is this the next Terry McLaurin, the 1,000-yard guy? I mean, Sure, he hasn't had the best quarterbacks, arguably even the worst, but what makes us think that the shadow of Aaron Rodgers coming off an Achilles tear is going to vault him into top 10 numbers and top 5 wide receiver numbers? I mean, he's had 1 year of an elite quarterback, and that's 2021 with CJ Stroud, where he still only had a little over 1,000 receiving yards. Sure, he played with 2 other stud receivers, which we may even talk about today. I don't know what you guys got, but he was 3rd in yards on the team that year. And he has had since that 2 years of 1,000 yards. So a top 5 receiver, I just don't understand where we just vault him immediately into that. He was drafted as the wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 in his rookie draft. I mean, personally, last year, the top 5 receivers consisted of 1,500 yards, double-digit touchdowns, or both. I'm not sure the ceiling of Wilson includes either of those things at this point, and it starts making me think like he's completely undraftable in the first round. I don't know why anyone's doing it. I will definitely not be doing it, and I feel like his ADP is based solely on Rodgers being good. So if Rodgers is good, he'll be great. I think it's time to sell him in Dynasty as well. I think before other people start catching on to this, I feel like, behold what we have below us. We got 170 targets, 95 catches, 1,000 yards, 150 targets, 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns in a year. Yes, once again, mediocre quarterbacks, but what makes us think that Rodgers is still good? What makes us think that Garrett Wilson is great? Where is the hey man, this guy's an 1,100 yard receiver?
Okay. I understand where you're going with this, and I can agree with this partially because this whole team is a house of cards here. But Garrett Wilson is talented. Every efficiency metric, he was like top 5 in last year. He just didn't have a quarterback. Zach Wilson's trash. Whoever the fuck else they trotted out there, I don't even remember, was trash. Aaron Rodgers, even a shell of his Cheyenne Woodley, whatever her name is, like spiritual reckoning self in 2024, can give that man 170 targets, and the results are going to be fantastic. Now, Garrett Wilson is my number 1 wide receiver. I'm not a fan of doing it. Garrett Wilson is my number 2 receiver. I absolutely love doing it.
You're not going to get him as your number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah, I've got him as my number 2 so many times because I draft AJ Brown and I come back with Garrett Wilson. I don't know. It's happened like 2 or 3 times in drafts. So I don't know where you've seen him go in the first round. He's always like that 12-13 turn, which, stacking him up as the 2. I've actually done this in drafts. I'm not lying.
I'm not saying
he's fantastic.
I'm not saying you aren't.
I understand the trepidation of him being your 1.
I just don't. I mean, wide receiver 21 and 26 so far. I mean, we're just jumping him up to wide receiver 5 because everything was going to go perfect this year.
But it's his year 3 wide receiver breakout, Josh.
I'm just saying I'm not drafting him. I won't. This is the dude.
Okay.
I will not draft him.
So I actually agree with your overall point of like you probably shouldn't draft him as high as he's going right now. But let's not say the man isn't talented and that you need to start selling. Now we're taking it a step too far. It's not his fault that he has not played with good quarterbacks. He doesn't want to play with Zach Wilson. Nobody wants to play with Zach Wilson. That dude's a trash can. He's literally a trash can throwing him the ball, and he still won the offensive rookie of the year 2 years ago because he overcame everything and got 1,000 yards.
Or because Drake London isn't good either, and he was drafted in front of him, and there really wasn't any other wide receivers that year that really went and broke out. But that's fine. Yeah, he was good.
That's everybody, right? That's every single position. That's not just a wide receiver reward.
Yeah, but it's essentially a receiver or quarterback, and was that not the quarterback year of
or running back? Could be anybody. It could be any position, literally. But that's beside the point. What I'm saying is the talent is not the problem. The talent is he is a good receiver, and actually they would have been much worse these last couple of years had he not been there. But now that he's playing with the best quarterback, to say this is the year that we need to give up on him is crazy. This is the first time he's actually played with a quarterback that has a pulse.
So why was Breece Hall able to overcome?
I don't know.
Because he got the
offensive line was one of the worst lines. They can't pass the ball, so therefore, why was Breece Hall able to? Is
Breece Hall running the ball or is he catching the ball?
He's running the ball and catching the ball.
I think Brees
Yeah,
Hall
but he's
did good because Zach
mainly
Wilson
running the
was
ball.
only able to throw it 10 yards, and that's why he was
Yeah, but
like
usually
number 1 in receptions.
usually when you have a quarterback who sucks, they stack the box, but Brees Hall still broke through. He's still, the talent level is there. We know it's there. There's no doubt in our mind of it that he's a first round draft pick this year. There's doubt in our mind that Garrett Wilson is a first round draft pick this year. Even Joe said he wants to get him on the back half, and he wants to get someone even before him, like AJ Brown and then Garrett Wilson. You didn't say Garrett Wilson and then AJ Brown.
No, I completely agreed with your point. There's no animosity. I'm just saying kind of what Billy's saying. You got to give him credit for having the quarterback there. I'm still drafting Garrett Wilson. It's just not in the first round.
I literally said the same thing, that, yeah, he's played with even arguably the worst quarterbacks in the league. I can't say anything about that, but I'm just saying, why is the shell of Aaron Rodgers going to save that?
Well, I mean, obviously we don't know because we haven't seen it, but I would rather bet on the shell of Aaron Rodgers than Zach Wilson. And if he can get 1,000, if he can get 1,000 yards with a group of Mickey Blanco and Zach Wilson, I think he could probably do at least 1,000. Let's just say a couple more with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I think that we could at least say that. Dude's a good receiver. He's really, really good.
We'll see.
That's the only part that I disagreed with there. But the do not draft part, I probably won't have him on my team. That's because I got burned from him in the past. So mine's a revenge situation more than.
I didn't want to base this solely on ADP. I wanted to base this on, like, honestly, we haven't seen it yet, literally ever. Like, why do we just immediately assume?
Calling him bad is just, I don't know, it's a step too far. When you said this would piss us off, I thought you meant like if it's going to be a player that we like legitimately be like, wow, okay, I can't believe you picked that person. I get that you picked him. The reasoning's a little bizarre, but the pick's not
Never
bad.
Said he was bad. Said he was mediocre. I said potentially mediocre, to be fair.
Mediocre in this league ain't good. That's
Terry McLaurin. I love me some Terry McLaurin, man. He's the definition of mediocre.
That's true. Okay.
Breakout.
Joe,
Terry McLaurin. 7th year breakout.
I love him. Got 7th
year breakout. All right, who's up next?
I'm gonna keep picking on Ohio State here, and I'm gonna go Chris Olave. My man finished as a top 10 receiver 3 times last year. His best finish was in Week 10 against the Vikings with Jameis Winston as his quarterback, where he was wide receiver 9. He was the 13th most targeted player, averaged 8.5 targets a game. But he finished as wide receiver 16, and now all of a sudden he's going as wide receiver 11. I mean, are we just assuming that Spencer Rattler is going to be starting for this team by week 4? Or what's going on? Because Derek Carr, you said trash can was Zach Wilson. I mean, Derek Carr has got to be at least in the running for like a office waste paper basket or something. Maybe not a full trash can. Recycling bin. Absolutely. He was recycled from the shitty Raiders to the shitty Saints. This team's in trouble, guys. You got Rashid Shaheed there, who's on the upswing. Kamara's healthy, not suspended this year. He's going to get a ton of targets. And, I mean, we all here love A.T. Perry. I mean, I have him as one of my guys I'm snagging the lay around. So I believe in the talent of Chris Olave, but until Derek Carr is gone, I'm not taking him. Pittman, Ayuk, Evans, all going behind them. Take those guys instead.
Honestly, like, I hate that I have no argument for that. But, yeah, like, Derek Carr waste paper basket or some sort of, I don't even want to say recycling bin, some sort of like compost bin. Like, it smells a little bit, but like it's, we know it's good for the environment, or like it's supposed to be. It's not good for Olave.
So, Derek Carr is good for the environment, not for your football team.
Take out I'm sorry, what was it? Not the garbage, but the disease. Derek Carr is the disease of the Saints.
He is the disease. Well, and the other part of the disease is I don't know, don't even ask me what kind of like TikTok algorithm I'm on, but I watched the whole entire TikTok discussing Trevor Penning and how much of a bust he's been on the O-line, because they basically benched him, by the way. He was a first-round draft pick, and an injury happened in the preseason, so he had to come back in, and he was just getting thrown around like a rag doll. So, honestly, yeah. I mean, Derek Carr is going to have to get the ball out very quickly, which is not really Olave's game. I think he could probably edit it.
Be the slot guy if he needed to be.
Could do something like that if they needed to, but until they show some kind of competence to do something like that and make those kind of changes on the fly, I think it's going to be a lot more dump offs to Kamara. And then you're going to have one bomb a game to Rashid Shaheed. That's going to be, he's going to be the 1 for 70 and a touch guy. And then that's going to leave Olave with a lot of targets, but are the balls going to be catchable? I don't know.
Dude, the worst part about this is we're still in for like another year of Derek Carr after this. I looked at the contract. He's stuck there for the next year and a half. I mean, they could dump him technically and like do what the Eagles did with Wentz, essentially. I mean, hopefully trade him, but like, who's going to buy Derek Carr at this point? And then not to mention the salary is just like ridiculous at the end. And it's like, they need to pay him these 2 years to be able to field the team. It's like, these are the last years of Kamara. I mean, hopefully not. I'd love to see him go well into his 30s. We got Olave wasting the young years of his career. And then like, honestly, like, I hate to say this, but it's wasting the Taysom Hill career. Like, I know he sucks for fantasy football or is great for fantasy football, depending on which side of the coin you look at, but really more so like Taysom Hill's a weird gadget player that only comes around so often. And this team, if a playoff team, even Taysom Hill could make moves for this team. And it's sad because we're wasting the best years of some of these players right now. And Olave might be one of them. I don't hate this, Joe. I mean, I hate it because I have Olave. I'm pretty sure on the screen it says Josh Hall on there, and that's rough. But, here we are.
It's a good guy to have on your team, just not this team.
In Dynasty, do not trade him. I will say that.
He's a good, November, just float some trades out.
Try to get him. Yeah.
Yeah.
The wide receiver 20 on the year, he's been fine, but it's kind of hit or miss. I mean, even last year he had a kind of a hit or miss season. So
when your best game's with Jameis Winston, it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hurts.
For sure. All right. I guess I'll go next. My pick is Devon Achane from the Dolphins. So I've been seeing him going in the third round, sometimes sneaking into the second, which scares the shit out of me, but it's mainly the third, maybe fourth round that I think people are most comfortable. I don't think you're going to get that kind of volume back. So we saw him have a good season last year, but if you break it down week by week, it was really boom or bust. I mean, seriously, there was only a couple of times he got to running back 10. He was a top 10 running back 5 times last season, which were all awesome. And he had 100 games in 4 out of those 5 games, which was really awesome as well. The problem I'm having is the snap percentage isn't there. He only had over 60% of the snaps twice. He had a third one, but it was week 18, so that doesn't really count. Most people don't play that week. And this kind of scares me. I know that people are like, oh, well, Raheem Mostert's old, so he's not going to play as much this season. I think this is going to be way more of a rotation than people think. I think it's going to be Mostert. I think it's going to be Jalen Wright sometimes. I think Devon Achane's going to get, his home run plays. And I just don't think you're going to get the return to the value. I think people are expecting this to be a confident RB2. And I don't think you're going to get that. I think he's going to be a flex play most weeks, and you're going to be happy the weeks that you played him and you got the 35 to 35 points. Let's just be real. He's never going to get 50 points in a game ever again. I will mark that down right now. And I'll take a shot every time I'll fireball bet for the rest of my life how many times he ever gets 50 points in a game again, because I know it won't happen. It was such a fluky game that even happened.
So well.
The fact that they kept doing it, and they kept him going, which is good for him because he got some reps, but the fact that that's never going to happen again ever, and that performance was the one that boosted up most of his value last season, it just scares me. And I don't really see Mike McDaniel wasting his weapon a lot, until maybe later in the season up to the playoffs. I think the big problem with the Miami Dolphins, they came out really hot on offense, and then it fizzled out at the end of the season. And I think if Mike McDaniel actually wants to make a playoff game and they can win it, they got to use these guys better in better positions. And Devon Achane already got hurt last year, which had to miss 4 games because of it. The whole thing just makes me nervous, guys. I just don't like where he's going based on what the value is actually going to be. I think you have a lot more value drafting Mostert really late, drafting Jalen Wright really late, because one of those 2 guys is going to get a lot of volume, to whereas a lot of people think it's going to be an Achane world, and I don't think so.
See, all right. So other than the last part about them saving them and trying to utilize the best of their ability, the 3-headed monster type ability with Mostert, Achane, and Jalen Wright coming in, other than that, which is smart, and that's what they should do because injuries have plagued them, because Tyreek Hill got injured. Their whole defense got injured. Achane got injured for a little bit too. It did mess their season up. But my biggest thing is, I'm not discounting anyone here, because if you want to draft A-Chain and you want him on your team, and this goes for anyone, I'm not saying this or whatever, but you want to know why people are going after A-Chain, it's because of the big play. And it's because hey, he can get 3 carries and one of them can be an 80-yard touchdown, and that could win me a week. And yes, there's a possibility that he doesn't, and I assume it won't happen, but the biggest thing for A-Chain it wasn't the 200-yard game. It was the 2 games after it where he scored 20 points, still got 100 yards, got a touchdown or 2. And then he gets injured. And then we're like, okay, well, now it's over. And I think I even sat him week 4. I had him on my team, and I sat him week 4 because I was like, there's no way he ever does that again. He goes out and gets 27 points. And then you come back from the injury, and he comes out, gets 2 touchdowns. And then, yeah, there's some missed games here, 12, 9, 4, and then goes out there and gets 23, 100-yard game. And then, yeah, like you said, week 18, we don't even count. So it's really more about seeing it more consistently. Like if I didn't see that last 6 games, I would say absolutely not. Like I'd cut it off and be like, listen, this was a one-hit wonder. Not even that, just more of like, we don't know what this is. So why would he be going this high? But the reason someone's drafting him this high is because this is the Tyreek Hill of running backs, the man who can break the play, might be the fastest running back in the league. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. Mostert's up there too. I mean, that's why they got all those touchdowns in that game against Denver. But I have no problem with anyone grabbing A-Chain here. And I don't think it's too soon. 3rd round. You've already got a running back and wide receiver, presumably. He's your running back 2, or he's your hero, whatever, 0 RB. I don't even know what that means anymore because it's the silliest thing. Go draft a running back in the first 3 rounds. Don't be an idiot.
Okay. I agree with both of what you guys are saying. I just have 3 things here with Devin A-Chain. I'm not really sure how I feel about him anymore, because when we started this offseason, Devin A-Chain was going as like where Jahmyr Gibbs is going now. He was like 5th pick in the 2nd round. 2nd pick in the 2nd round. Like you saw people taking A-Chain really early, and people kind of caught onto the trend that like, hey, this is really sketchy to be drafting him here. And he slid back. So he's almost at a point now where you can take him. But my biggest thing with Devon A-Chain is it's still too high for him. If we accept the fact that this guy is going to be like Tariq Cohen and just be absolutely electric, get the ball 10 times a game, and get him down in like the 6th, 7th round where Cohen was going after his big season, I would be much more comfortable there. But you do have a 3-headed monster there. It's going to be ridiculous. And my other argument is just he's small, man. I like nothing against him, but he played well. He got injured in the preseason, came back, looked really good, got injured again. How many times is he going to be able to just keep getting hit like this is my only concern.
So just to circle back here, he did slip back in the drafts, and I'm loving it and everything. That's why I'm okay with this. I do agree. He was with Gibbs at one point. We're like, bro, fucking 2nd round, let's calm down. But now he's at the back half of the 3rd round, and we're talking right when the quarterbacks and tight ends start going. And we all know how the draft goes, the home draft, the whatever draft you're in, the guys from your work. All of a sudden, one time, someone grabs Mahomes, someone grabs Lamar Jackson, someone grabs Jalen Hurts, someone grabs Josh Allen, or someone grabs Laporta, someone grabs Kelsey. Those tight ends and quarterbacks start flying off the board, and all of a sudden, you got A-Chain in the early 4th. Like, I mean, late 3rd, I have no issue. I think even like 35 is what he's at on Fantasy Pros. I am perfectly okay with taking that, because if you're taking him at 35, that means you got another pick right after that. You can go grab yourself, a quarterback, tight end. Or you can get yourself DJ Moore, or, maybe even Devontae Smith. Like, I mean, there's options there, like I love it personally. I think where he's going is nice. And like you said, Joe, he did slip back, and I think it's acceptable. And yes, it's not perfect, but the thing is you're going on the hope that the first few games wasn't just a fluke. So yes, there is that. Do I do it or do I not do it? But it's like Devin A-Chain can win you the fantasy football league if he hits. And there's a very decent chance that he does. We just don't know when. I mean,
my only before I just close this out, because this one ran a little longer than I expected, but I just will say, like, even the weeks after the Denver thing, 8 carries, 11 carries, like the chances of it happening with that volume is so low. Like, just to expect that to happen, and the only reason that he had a lot of volume in Denver is because they sat Mostert. He had 18 carries in that game. He didn't mean to. That wasn't the intention of that game. He just happened to do it because Denver was getting their shit kicked in. So I don't know. It's more of just like you won big last year because you just happened to get a guy that touched the ball 8 times in a game and ran for 100 yards. There's a reason that no other running backs in the league are doing that. It's because it doesn't happen very often. It just happened to happen for him. So I don't know. It's just a little bit more risky than I would like to do with somebody with my third pick in the draft. A little risky for me, but I understand why other people would do it. Best ball, a darling for the best ball, because you're going to get those points those weeks. But every other week, the 1 points, the 10 points, the 8 points, you're kind of be left out in the cold a little bit, I think.
I don't see the 1 points.
The injury when he gets sneezed on,
Man got injured one time. We're gonna label him injury prone. All right, let's get to
he was
my
injured
guy.
in the preseason also.
I never said that.
He made one catch and got lit up.
I didn't even have anything for Drake London. I don't know why he's on the screen. That's super weird. But you probably shouldn't draft him either, because I talked about him last podcast, and I don't think so. But no, my guy's Isaiah Pacheco, man. So this is just one of those right in the same ballpark as A-Chain. And I think it's a bit of a bold take, but Pacheco's coming off a good year. Chiefs went out, got Hollywood Brown out of free agency, then drafted Worthy. They're looking to get into that pass-happy offense that they've been in the past. So sure, they won 2 Super Bowls in a row. Pacheco was part of those. And, I mean, he definitely played a role in both of them as well. But they know they need a receiving core, and they knew it needed to get better. So here they are with a Rashee Rice, Worthy, and Hollywood Brown receiving core, and then, of course, Travis Kelce, which I just think in turn is going to lead to less touches for Pacheco. And already they carried the ball 417 times last year, and Pacheco only had 205 of those. Reed has always utilized the second guy. And we're going to all scramble to figure out who that's going to be. Is it Prince? Is it Lee Harvey Oswald or whoever from Australia? We don't really know. But we're gonna try to figure that out. And I just think we just need to realize that there will be another one who gets a third or more touches in this offense.
It's Carson Steele, the porn star, man.
Carson Steele, the porn star. I mean, there's so many guys out there that could be the next guy. But the biggest thing is they lost the integral piece of their defense, which was L'Jarius Sneed, and they didn't replace him. So this leaves a glaring hole in the defensive backfield, which has surely caused issues personally and could cause late lead changes instead of running out the clock at the end. Pacheco being the running back 15 last year, being drafted as running back 10 or better. And I think he was one of those guys that was up there like high with Gibbs during the off season. Jacobs and Walker are going a few picks behind him around later. I don't see why you would reach in a pivotal running back for running back 2 that is being drafted like a running back 1, because the man gets 16, 20 points. Sure, there's a couple of good games here and there, but like, you want a guy who's going to go get 6s back-to-back weeks on your team? Not me. I don't know why Pacheco's in that ball field, but everybody just assumes that the Chiefs are going to switch to a run offense, which I think we thought that last year, and still ended up as running back 15. And then this year they go out and get 2 more receivers. Like, I ain't touching the running back in this one unless it's the backup, because I can get him late and hope that maybe it works out, or dynasty and whatnot. So I don't know what you guys think.
Bill, you want this one? I have my own thoughts, but
I mean, I'm kind of in the middle with Pacheco. I think he's more of like what strategy you're planning to use in your drafts. Like if this is a route you want to take, like if you went wide receiver, and then maybe like tight end, and then Pacheco somehow fell to that first running back to take, maybe that would be a way that you would take him. But I mean, I'm kind of with you, where if this was who you based your running back strategy off of, I wouldn't love that. You got to be kind of punting on that position to take Pacheco, in my mind. That's really the only thoughts I have.
No, that's fair. I mean, if you end up grabbing Laporta, or I don't know, one of the top quarterbacks, say you get Josh Allen, who's QB number 1 still for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, like last season, for example, in league that I won big, like I kind of just punted on the position. I got Najee Harris and James Conner, just kind of like I needed just a guy that was going to get some points, and I went really heavy on wide receiver. That in that scenario, I kind of like Pacheco. But if you're actually like building a team and Pacheco is a main part of it, I don't love that idea. Like you kind of need to be strategic with how you draft him. But yeah, no, I kind of
the 2 guys you just mentioned. The 2 guys you just mentioned weren't in the 3rd round. You know what I mean? Like that's not punting on a position.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is like if he fell for whatever reason, that's the only way.
If he falls, sure.
Do not draft Edis right now.
I'm not drafting him in general. I just think there's a pass. This is a pass offense again, man. This is a Mahomes year.
Yeah, I love Pacheco this year, dude. You want running backs on a good offense. They got rid of Jerick McKinnon. I don't know if you guys remember that little Jerick McKinnon lining up left of Patrick Mahomes. They would snap the ball, the whole line would move right, and then the shuttle pass to McKinnon. It was a touchdown every time. Happened constantly. He's gone, and Pacheco is going to get more of that work. The biggest thing I like Pacheco for is the receiving ability. I mean, you don't have a feature wide receiver on this team. Rashee Rice is great. He's not a feature wide receiver. Hollywood Brown's been a speedster his whole career. And then you got Xavier Worthy, who I know a lot of people like him, but he's not a feature receiver either. You have Travis Kelce, who's basically your wide receiver one. He's your feature receiver, but he's getting old. He's been touring all summer with his lady. He's probably going to be a little bit tired. And then you got Pacheco, who's just angry at the fucking world, man. Just give him the ball and then give him those dump offs, because the middle of the field is going to be wide open when you have that many speedsters on the outside. Like, I just think Pacheco is going to have wide open lanes the majority of the year. And you're right, the defense is going to take a hit, so they're going to be probably scoring a lot more this year.
His entire career, he's got 57 catches for 370 yards. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, his first year they didn't use him in the receiving game, and then last year he got 44 catches. So we saw a huge jump
for 200 yards. That is the 5 yards.
44. That's 64 points right there. That's pretty fucking good for running back. I mean, he could do better. He could do better, but
he's not. There's no way this man is a third round pick at the end of it all. That's what kills me. I'm not going above that line. If you get him in the fourth, sure. You know what I mean? Like, if you got the turn, he slips to 37, and you're like, yeah, I guess I'll take Pacheco. Sure. I don't believe that you're getting even that return on it, though, is my problem. Is I'd rather have Jacobs. I'd rather have Walker. There's just way more people in that time of where he's going that, like, I'd rather grab a quarterback. I'd rather go get Mahomes at that point. Like, why would you take Pacheco over Mahomes?
Because you should always wait on quarterback.
I completely understand, but I'm not waiting on Patrick Mahomes over Pacheco because I know who's getting the points on that team. If I see both of them at the same time, I'm like, I guess it's time to get Mahomes. Like,
by the way, Joe, did you see that Travis Kelce, in addition to all the touring thing that he did for Taylor Swift, he also filmed the show Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? He's also hosting that show.
No,
coming out
Jeff Foxworthy.
Oh, dude, fade Kelce, man.
He's the host. I mean, he already filmed all the episodes, but he's hosting that show.
Fade Kelce, dude. He's in way better shape than me, but he's also older than me, and I know how I feel after the Expo this weekend, so fade Travis Kelce immediately.
You also played flag football in jeans, Joe, so, I mean, come on.
Jeans and Air Force Ones, man. Not
classic
the ideal.
I got Eli Appled so bad.
Yeah, he kind of did. It is what it is. At least you got out there.
He was the fastest kid alive.
Had to be. All right, Joe, who you got next?
All right, I'm going to go with Sam Laporta. I'm going to stay up on ADP here. Samuel Joseph Laporta from Highland, Illinois is my do not draft. And I'm just going to lean into the ADP thing here, guys. He's going at 26 right now. And I think Sam Laporta is fine. I just think this offense, they have so many weapons here. And I know they did last year too, but they didn't have J-Mo. You know, they've got some really solid back-end receivers. Cleve Raymond's going to have some work. Montgomery, I expect, a full healthy year out of Montgomery. And, I know Gibbs is already banged up, but if you have both of those backs healthy and out there, I think it takes a lot out of Laporta's plate. And I am anticipating a Jameson Williams breakout this year. Maybe he doesn't light the world on fire, but he's going to get more than he's gotten the previous 2 years. And it's going to take some off of Sam Laporta's plate. I like Sam Laporta. If he is your tight end on your team, I would not be worried about that, but I'm not drafting him at the start of the third round. When you can draft so many guys, you can get Ferguson, you can get Ingram, you can get Kittle later. I mean, hell, he's going ahead of Kelce a lot of the times, and I know I just said fade Kelce, which I thoroughly believe, but if I was left between Sam Laporta and Kelce, I would take Kelce. So fade Sam Laporta right now.
I mean, honestly, though, like the tight end position, and I've said this in previous podcasts, and I'll continue to say it, the tight end position is not what it used to be. There's no 1 to 2 to 3 trick ponies anymore. You got 5, 6, 7, 6, I'd say. I think Kittle was our line that we were like, with the injury, we're not sure, lost some weight. Laporta, Kelce, Andrews, McBride, Pitts, and Kincaid. Any one of those guys could be tight end one this year. Laporta got 10 touchdowns last year. If that doesn't happen, he's not tight. He only had 890 yards. I mean, if the 10 touchdowns doesn't happen, he is tight end 4. You know what I mean? Like it's to grab a tight end early is just silly this year. Like you have 5 or 6. If you want to end up like, hey, 5 are gone and you still have the choice of Kincaid to add to your team, go do it. Like no problem at all. Say 3 are gone and you really want Trey McBride and he's sitting there and you're like, yeah, I'm taking him, whatever. Why would you do Laporta? Trey McBride is the number 2 target on the team. Yes, Laporta is the number 2 target on the team. But they have Gibbs, they have Montgomery, they have Amon-Ra St. Brown. They might have Jameson Williams. Too many question marks for me for Laporta, number 1 overall. I think he'll be fine. Like you said, if you get him on your team, you got him on your team and you're fine and you'll be happy because it's tight end. But just don't invest that highly in quarterbacks and tight ends in general. Like if you want to do it.
We used to take Kelsey because he was so heads and shoulders above
The one.
everybody else. He was the one, and you had such a positional advantage. But now you're not seeing anywhere near that positional advantage. So why are we doing this? I don't get it.
Yeah. And I mean, even then, like the years Kelsey first started, it wasn't like that. There was a lot of tight ends, but then they dried up really quick. And we're back out of the drought. I mean, that's really what this is the tight end drought is over. And so there's so many more tight ends to use nowadays. Whereas like this is kind of when we first started playing, it kind of felt more like it is right now, where it seemed like there was 5 or 6 useful guys. I mean, you had like Jimmy Graham, Tony Gonzalez even was putting up
Antonio Gates, Gronk.
Antonio Gates, Gronk. Like, yeah, there was a lot of guys that you could use. And so it didn't feel as much like you had to grow. And even like Hernandez too. Like, not to bring up the controversy, I guess I just did. But there were so many more to use. And then it kind of went dry for a long time. So, yeah, I just think we're out of the darkness and we're back into the light. And, yeah, you don't need to take a tight end soon or, very – very high. I mean, I guess you could still take Kelsey because he still seems to prove it, but the rest of these guys, yeah, you can wait. Even though I love Laporta.
Yeah, and one more note, I think his ADP is going to come down a little bit because I think the fishbowl really skyrocketed a lot of these tight end rankings because that's all anyone was tweeting about for a while. So hopefully it comes down a little bit to where it's a reasonable price, but right now I'm out.
That would be nice. Okay. I'll go on to my next one, and it is Will Levis. And I know what everyone out there is saying. What? Why in the hell would you pick Will Levis? Well, I just want to make everyone aware that although you might be waiting on quarterbacks and you might think that Will Levis is an option that you can take late, whereas you didn't take a quarterback very high, you took him because he's got a good cast around him. So there should be a good way that you're at least going to get some good points out. Like Tua last year, I took him in like the 13th round. And he ended up being, a top 10 quarterback and actually made a lot of sense to take that late. The problem I have with Will Levis is Will Levis sucks. I mean, I don't want to make it seem much worse than that. He had a completion percentage underneath 60. And if he didn't have that first game where he threw 4 touchdowns, he wouldn't have had a top 15 quarterback finish in the entire fantasy football last season. I don't think that people understand. He's way closer to Sam Howell than he is to being a startable quarterback in fantasy football. So I just don't want people to like punt on the quarterback position and then take Will Levis late thinking that like, oh, I'm actually going to get something here. He has an entirely new cast of characters around him other than DeAndre Hopkins. And I just think it's a lot to trust. And then there's another part where everybody's like, oh, well, Brian Callahan's there. He worked with, Jamar Chase, and he made Joe Burrow and all this. Brian Callahan's never called plays. That's another thing that nobody is factoring in. Like, that's a Zach Taylor offense. Zach Taylor called the offense. Brian Callahan didn't do any of that shit. He's learning now on the fly just like everybody else. I don't love this for year one. I think it's putting a lot on Levis, and he's inaccurate, which is scary as shit. And although there are good wide receivers all around him, it's a bunch of guys that you aren't trusting completely other than DeAndre. But the rest of these guys, you don't really trust completely. So this is more of a case like I know that he's going to go late anyway, so it's not really like something that's a very pressing ADP matter. I just don't want you to fall into the pitfall of you ended up with Will Levis. I'm probably good. I'm just going to put him out there and it's going to be fine, because it's not going to be fine. You're going to end up on the waiver wire again trying to find an actual quarterback to use, because it's not going to be Will Levis, sadly.
I have to 100% disagree with you on this one. And I don't think that Will Levis is going to be the best quarterback in the league, but there is this overwhelming sense of hope for him. Like this is the do or die for him, right? And so if you go and get, and I'm not even saying like you punted on quarterback and you draft your last two picks. Sure, Levis will probably be one of your last two picks, which is the great part about it. But this is the perfect insurance for a guy like Anthony Richardson, Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff. I mean, like, obviously we know Goff's pretty consistent, but like, let's say he goes down and you're like, oh, rough. But like these unproven quarterbacks and these quarterbacks who've had 1-2 good years, like I would kill that. I mean, honestly, Will Levis is the perfect backup quarterback. He is the perfect, like, I don't need this position, but on the off chance that I do, I want the one with the most potential. And yes, they surrounded Will Levis with weapons. They added another running back after Derrick Henry left. And yes, they're both pass catching running backs, which is perfect for him. We want to think Okonkwo is going to be a thing. We don't know, probably not. I'm not making an argument for that. I don't even want to be coined for that at all. But you grab Ridley, who comes off a great year in Jacksonville. You have Hopkins, who, once again, shell of his former self, but still is there and still can go make jump balls in the end zone. If we need to have him as the last resort Julio, that is perfectly fine. And then you also grab Tyler Boyd, one of the most underappreciated wide receivers in the last 7-8 years of football. This is a good cast. Is Will Levis good? I don't know. And you know that's the thing. That's why he's quarterback 25 or whatever he is in rankings right now. But you are to say not to draft him is just silly to me, because it's like, yes, you said it, not paying very high for it, but like, why not buy low for the hope? I love that. That's how I got Gronkowski. That's how I got Laporta. That's how I've gotten all these players that have ended up on my route. I had Mahomes his sophomore year where I drafted him in the 14th round because we were like, what if? And like, I'm not coining this guy to be Mahomes, but like, just what if Will Levis is good and actually can figure it out?
He's not. Okay. I mean, you can keep saying the hope thing. Anybody could be good. Anybody in the world could be good, but they're not. So like, it is what it is. He is not a good quarterback. He proved it last year. He had one good game, and that is what everybody's basing his
he looked like shit last year.
Thing off of.
Okay, yes. What QB number would you be okay with doing a fireball bet on? Like over under
30. I'll go 30. I mean, I don't think
free fireball bet for you later. Go ahead and jot that down.
I think that by the middle of the season, they're going to be looking at Mason Rudolph to take over this team because it's going to be such an abject disaster.
Okay, go ahead.
Because he isn't good, Josh. He's not.
You need a pen?
I got the pen.
Okay, you can jot that down.
All right.
Yeah.
Billy, I agree with you in real life football that Will Levis sucks. You should not be starting. Well, yeah, he was great for fantasy, though, which is my argument here. And that's where I'm at. Sam Howell was so bad last year that he was a top 12 quarterback in fantasy football because he fucking sucked. And they didn't score points, and he got a ton of yards, and then he would get a couple touchdowns, and his stat line at the end of the game looked good. And that's my argument for Will Levis, because he does have a better supporting cast here. He could have an excellent fantasy football season and just fuck up his way right into it. And that's my argument. So for real life, I absolutely agree with you, but for fantasy, I completely disagree.
I just think for a team that's all in, they're going to have to start thinking about a new quarterback at least 4 or 5 games in, because he's not going to win you football games. The defense is not going to be good.
Argument.
So I think that you would be better served drafting Mason Rudolph straight off the bat than drafting Will Levis and dropping him for whoever the cute waiver wire pick is. Like last year, I probably would have dropped Will Levis for Puka Nacua before week 1, and obviously that would have come out ahead. But that is a perfect guy that you could drop off your waiver, to waiver wire before the season even starts, and it won't matter at all because it's not going to mean anything by the season's end.
All right. Anyway, let's stroll on to another quarterback that you shouldn't draft, and that is Mr. Justin Herbert. And this has nothing to do with his foot injury. Honestly, I honestly forgot that he was injured until I was writing this. And it's super weird for me because I've always loved Justin Herbert and I've always wanted this to work. But just let someone else make this mistake, because someone's going to go, oh, he's healthy to start the year, and everyone's drafting the week before in redraft, and he's starting week 1. I'm drafting him. I'm going to get him in the top 10, and I'm going to pull Herbert up because he's going to skyrocket right around that time. And he started his career off with style, man. Like he was QB9 his rookie year, QB2 in his sophomore year. And then his third year was the dip. That's what came. And then after that, an injury late in 2023. I mean, I just don't see him getting out of this dip anytime soon. All three of his leading receivers from his, good years, Eckler, Allen, Mike Will, are all on new teams. So, and that's no secret. I would hope that you know this. And last year they couldn't seem to figure it out at all. And they had all those people. So, and now I guess Mike Will is out, but now you bring in Harbaugh, who is known for running the ball with a ragtag group of receivers that all of us in fantasy are just kind of hoping will work out. Like we're going to say the Lad McConkey is going to work out, the Josh Palmer, QJ, he's actually not that bad. Let me just tell you something. It probably won't. I've seen several posts on Twitter about how Herbert is great and that everyone should get this amazing return value, 3 players for 1 while still getting a quarterback to start. And I just want to ask those people that I've seen out there, why are you trying to trade Herbert if you think his value is so great and you're trying to get 3 players for 1 and, thinking because you're selling at the edge of the cliff. Like this is the edge of the cliff for Herbert potentially. And yes, he's currently in a boot and will miss the rest of preseason. So he doesn't really even have the benefit of practicing with this new group of receivers and getting into a rhythm at any point to start the year. So this is just not the year Herbert breaks back out. And this is not in Dynasty. Yeah, get out while you can instead of saying, oh, his value is way higher than this. I can't believe someone offered me 3 players for Herbert. It wasn't Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and Drake London. Like, I don't know how I could do that because it's ridiculous. You shouldn't be getting half the stuff you're getting for this guy. Not to mention there's just several QBs now. It's the same thing with the tight ends. Like the QBs market is pretty great as well. Like you got 9 at least QBs that can be potentially top 5. Like there's a little bit of variance there. And Herbert is just trending down long before the injury in camp, and just let someone else, let Herbert be someone else's disease. Okay.
To go along with the song. I love it.
For sure. No, I'll take this one. I agree with you, Josh. I got a quick one, Joe. So, yep, I agree with you. I think that this is a year that you can take off from taking Justin Herbert as your trusted quarterback, and I wouldn't feel that bad about it. If he slipped to like the 13th round, now that we start to get like, okay, well, I have to take him now. Like that's insane that he's dropped this far. But I would not be going up to like the 8th or 9th round. I think you're going to get somebody else better around that spot. So maybe just let him go this year.
If you punt on quarterbacks, sure. You know what I mean? But like I just think you're just not going to have a good time regardless.
Yeah, I agree.
You're going to have him and Watson, and you're going to be swapping them in and out, and one's going to have a bad game, one's going to have a good game, and you're never going to start the right one. It's just go get a top 7 quarterback, 8, 9 quarterback. There's plenty out there. Go get Caleb Williams. You might even have a better time. Probably not, but you might.
At least be more fun to watch, but yeah.
Definitely be more fun to watch. Yeah, people want so much for Justin Herbert. It's crazy. If you go into a league week 1 with Justin Herbert as your starting quarterback, kudos.
Good for you.
You are more of a man than I.
I traded for Tua in this league that we show on the screen, Integrity, because I was like, there's no fucking way. Like, and this was pre-injury. I don't even want it. I was like, I gotta get something.
Yep. No, this is a year I would take the position players for the team, but maybe not the quarterback. Never usually that way, but I do
honestly,
like the Josh Palmer breakout.
If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't even think the wide receivers break out. I think this team is going to be whatever running back. Like the fantasy player on this team is going to be the running back that breaks out. I don't even know who that is. So like honestly, like sure, shots in the dark are all great. Like that's lovely, but like in reality, are you probably going to get return on these people? The good thing is they're cheap, but like you're probably going to drop them, and then you're going to be mad week 4 when they actually do something.
Stone Smart to the moon. It's my favorite guy.
Jesus, you just like the name. All right, go ahead, Joe.
Hey, Josh likes names too, man. I don't know.
I do like names.
You get a good name, and it's just like, hell yeah. All right, this one's going to ruffle some feathers. I understand that he's CJ Stroud's guy. I understand that CJ Stroud drafted him. We get that. I love the talent of Tank Dell is the guy that I'm talking about here. He's awesome. He's great. He's cool. He's Stephon Diggs walks. Stephon Diggs showed up Tank Dell by showing up. That's all it was. Stephon Diggs is an alpha wide receiver and walked in that room who has CJ Stroud as his quarterback. So CJ Stroud's a smart guy. He's also much younger than Stephon Diggs, and Stephon Diggs is a very intense diva. And Stephon Diggs doesn't get the ball, Stephon Diggs is not going to shut up about not getting the ball, and hence will get the ball. So if CJ Stroud's smart, he's just going to continue to feed Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs is extremely talented. He did not fall off a cliff. There was some animosity in Buffalo with Josh Allen. New ship, new change of scenery. Stephon Diggs
Same
is your
Stephon
alpha.
Diggs.
And then you got Nico Collins there, who is also a very good wide receiver. Now, hey, guys, I understand that Tank Dell did more with his target share than Nico Collins did. But Nico Collins is also the prototypical size that you see in a number 1 or number 2 wide receiver, which leaves Tank Dell as your gadgety number 3 guy who's not going to demand as many targets. He's certainly not going to get as many as he got last year. And then, hold on, we're going to add Joe Mixon in there, who has always been a phenomenal receiving back. And you still have Dalton Schultz there. Like, what the fuck is everyone thinking with this? It's the 5th round, and you're taking the wide receiver 3 on a team. Absolutely insane. I cannot listen to this nonsense anymore.
So I was really hoping that Stephon Diggs slipped. Or not Stephon Diggs, my apologies. Tank Dell slipped because of the Stephon Diggs entrance. But the fact that he's ranked above Stephon Diggs is just so wild to me. I hate that I'm even semi-agreeing with your take because I think Tank Dell's the guy. Like,
I love him.
He's literally,
I love
it's
Tank
like
Dell.
it would be like Joe. It would be like me and you. We went to college, and you were my quarterback or wide receiver, whatever you want to look at it. And then Billy came in, and I was like, Billy Stephon Diggs. I'm like, I gotta throw to Billy. Like, I'd be like, no, dude, like you're my homie, man. I'm throwing to you. Like, he's still gonna throw to Tank Dell. Like, there's no way he doesn't. But yeah, I do agree that it's more about keeping the peace. And the Texans are one of the people who talk about the Falcons. These people are all in. Like, they want to win the league. And they have the chance that with the young quarterback, everybody's pretty cheap right now, man. They got a chance to build a team, and that's why they went on and got Stephon Diggs. They know he's a diva. The fact that there's a preseason picture of him walking up to CJ Stroud after not getting a target in a preseason game is just wild to me, and that concerns me about Stephon Diggs. But I do love me some Tank Dell, and I think he ends up as the better receiver. But I do agree the 5th round is just like it's not it.
Not it. I was really out on Stephon Diggs, but his ADP started to slip, and now I'm in on Stephon. I think I'm out on Nico now. I finally made that decision.
Honestly, I'm in on whoever the 3rd receiver is drafted. Honestly, I don't care. If it's the 6th, 7th round and I can get Stephon Diggs, I can get Tank Dell, I'm going to take him. If Nico slips that far, I would just, be giggling. But,
I think Tank Dell in a best ball is like one thing, but I mean, if you're relying on him in your starting lineup every week, I don't.
We also have to talk about, and this is just to downfall all of them, we also have to talk about the potential that CJ Stroud doesn't throw for 4,000 yards again.
Yeah.
I mean,
their defense is way better than it was last year. And they were already pretty decent last year. So, like, I don't know. I'm just not getting great vibes.
It's also the fact that there's just might not be a number 1 on this team. And, like, all 3 of them are splitting. They might all just get 1,100 yards. And then you're drafting a Nico Collins in the 3rd and one of these guys in the 5th. And I mean, both of them in the 5th getting 1,000 yards or 1,100 yards is fine. But, like, no, you want them to break out. You know what I mean? When you're grabbing the first 5 rounds. Billy, you want to talk?
I disagree wholeheartedly. So I've just been sitting here waiting. No, I think Tank Dell is closer to being what Nico Collins is than what Stephon Diggs is going to be. These guys are all friends, and Stephon Diggs is coming in as the old man, and I don't think that they're going to fuck with the bad attitude. You either fit in or fit out. I don't think they're going to give a shit. He's probably going to get like 700-800 yards, probably a couple of touchdowns, and that'll be the Stephon Diggs experience. I think Nico and Tank are both going to be 12 to 1,400 yard receivers each, and I'm not worried at all. That Tank is his best friend, and Nico and him have a very good connection. And if Diggs can't fit into that, then they'll probably ship him out rather than keep him in this scenario. They were good without him. They don't need him to come in there and start bitching. They'll just get him the fuck out of there.
If he's there for half the season, he's going to fuck it up. Even if he's there for half the season, he's going to fuck up. Stephon Diggs is the most talented wide receiver.
They're already a group. Right, he's on the outside. Like, what is he going to? They're not going to let him in. Like, he'll just not get targets and he'll get bounced the fuck out. And
honestly,
will be like, what happened? And
we'll to play devil's advocate here and to stick with Billy's point here, they have a solid receiving core without Stephon Diggs. And I think they can even tell him, hey, listen, we don't need you, Diggs. You're here because we want you to better the team because you are one of the best wide receivers on this team. But if you're out, we got Mechie, we got Woods, we got Xavier Hutchinson, we got Skoranek. I know he's not really like a big name, but I mean, they have probably one of the best. Actually, you know what? I will say it: the best receiving core in football. Like hands down, like full 5-6 people that make the team. Quintez Cephas could make the team, and he got suspended for gambling last year. Has nothing to do with this, but I just wanted to bring him up because I like him.
No, it's just like Stroud in college. He had the Garrett Wilson, Olave, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, 3 trio wide receiver. All of those guys were alpha dogs when they were there. Worked out just fine. Like Stephon Diggs is either going to fit in and we can all eat, or he's going to fit out and Tank and Nico will eat like they did last year. And Stephon Diggs can just be the third guy on the team if he wants to start complaining, because I don't think CJ Stroud puts up with that kind of stuff. Just the vibe I get from him, and like even the interviews I've seen him talking about it, I don't think he fucks with people that are like that. I don't think that that's his thing. So I think Tank and Nico are the guys you want. I think Diggs is not. I think Diggs is the outsider looking in.
I disagree. I want all of them. I'd play all three of them.
I mean, at a good price to take any of them for sure.
Yeah.
But like none of them are at a good price for 3 wide receivers on the team.
100%. Yeah, it's hard to say like, oh, this is going to be a 1,500-yard receiver at round 5 because there's a chance that he isn't. So, but I think the logic is even if they get 1,100 yards, they exceed their ADP. You're not missing out on ADP for, I personally think, any of them. So I think they're actually relatively right. Like Tank Dell's his best friend, should be the second receiver off the board. Diggs is Diggs. We know what he can do. So stretch the field.
Sorry about that. My mailman just came. Checking my watch. Kind of late, but whatever. All right. On to the last person I have, and that is Mr. Rachaad White down in Tampa Bay. Look, I mean, his price is nothing to be like, oh, okay, well, I think the price wise, he's probably about right for what he is. However, I'm probably not taking him. The volume he had last year was second to Christian McCaffrey, which is insane to think about because he did not finish at number 2 like you would think with that kind of volume because it was that crazy. My only real fear here is I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is going to take a step back this season. As much as I love Baker Mayfield and I love everybody and I love the whole story, they did lose Dave Canales to the Carolina Panthers, which kind of makes me nervous that like this offense might not cook the same way that it did because Dave Canales is really good at resurrecting careers. He did it for Geno, then he did it for Baker. I'm just a little nervous that this offense isn't going to work quite the same as it did last year. Not that Rachaad White was doing well with what they were doing last year, so that scares me even more. I think with Bucky Irving in there, you're going to get an opportunity for somebody to come in and show what they got. So I think Rachaad White out the gate is going to get a lot to eat, but I think as the season goes on, I think it's going to be a more either not maybe a split workload, but maybe like Rachaad White's the first 2 downs and then Bucky Irving comes down 3rd down, or maybe they rotate series. I think it's just going to be a little bit closer in touches by the end of the season to where, like, I think if you're drafting Rachaad White, hoping that he's going to repeat what he did last season, you're not going to quite get that. And I think when you are getting him this season, and I think most people will be looking at, like, what has he done in the past? Oh, here's what my fantasy magazine says. I think you're going to be, like, a little bit disappointed by the season's end. So for me personally, I'm probably not going to be taking him, and I would recommend people maybe look elsewhere. But for the right price, Rachaad White's not a bad pick. I just for what you're expecting to be maybe repeating last season, you're not going to get that.
I was actually shocked to see what his ADP was whenever redraft ranking time came out, because I think he was a little high in the offseason just because of what he came off of, and then Bucky gets drafted, and Bucky Irving's not like the top 5 running back off the board by any means. Like it wasn't like but then you hear that he's a pass catching back, and then you think about this team and how there was no other running back on the team. I mean, yeah, I'm drafting Bucky Irving as my last pick of the draft in a redraft league just to see what happens. You know what I mean? You got 5 running backs, 6 running backs on your team, and you want to let's just seal that last one, see what happens. I don't hate the Rachaad White pick though, because yes, he's not going to be running back 4. But running back 14, 15, 16, where he's at, like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, other than that, I'd take Montgomery over him. But if I had 2 picks before me, Montgomery gets taken right before him, and my pick comes up and White's sitting there, I'm like, yeah, I need a running back. I'm taking White. I don't have any bad blood against him, but yes, he's not going to be running back 4 this year.
Yeah, no. Kind of indifferent here. Mine's more out of just malice towards how boring it was to watch him play. I mean, the only running back that was more boring to watch was Jerome Ford. It was miserable to watch those games. So, I mean, Rachaad White could do it. He absolutely could do it. It's just we're going back to the ADP thing here. It's where he is going. I'm completely out on that. I will take a wide receiver there. I will take Kamara there. I will take whoever the hell else is going in there. Rachaad White just doesn't excite me on my team. And I just assume, like, hey, if you're looking for a solid guy that could put up 15 points a game, 12 points a game, go with Rachaad White. But there are better options there. So just pass.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I just feel like if you're gonna draft Rachaad White, you're gonna kind of hope for more than what you're gonna get, and it's just it's not when you put Rachaad White's name on the board, nobody in your draft room is gonna be like, "Damn it," or like, "Fuck, I had him next." Like nobody's gonna be doing anything like that. So like, it's just kind of a boring pick. And I don't think he's going to return the volume last year. And I just know that everybody's going to be checking their little cheat sheets, and it's going to be saying that. And for that reason, I wouldn't draft Rachaad White.
He's going in front of Mixon, Walker, David Montgomery. Now, especially with Gibbs.
I was not trying to end that. That was an accident. My apologies.
That's for first week back.
First week. It's the rest, man. Did you hear who in camp is making some news?
Who's that?
Mr. Sean Tucker.
No way. Okay, time out. You said he's going before. You're saying Rachaad White is going before Kenneth Walker. I'm not off of this yet. Where?
Literally on Fantasy Pros ADP.
I love this. Everybody's looking at their computers right now.
Rachaad White is going at 34.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker is going at 45.
Okay, never mind. I completely agree with you. That's silly. I mean, the Joe Mixon thing didn't get me, but Jacobs going 3 picks after. Get out of here.
Kamara is literally a better receiving back than Rachaad White. Like, I get it. He receives the ball, but
right. No, it's giving that like copy paste, but it's really not that. It's really not that at all. So there's
you know what Rachaad White's numbers are going to look like? They're going to look like Pacheco's last year. Like it's going to be 900 yards, 200 yards through the air. Like, and
it's
then
going to be a grindy 900 yards though.
Oh, 100%. He's going to have 600
like 200 200 carries for 900 yards. It's going to be very, very
well, that's what Pacheco did, and everyone wants to draft him in the second round. So I don't
getting nervous about the Buccaneers. I'm not a fan though. Fantasy gods, football gods, NFL gods, whoever needs to hear this. I am not a fan of the Buccaneers. You don't have to take this out on them. Like, I know, like, you can look deep in my heart. I'm not saying I'm a
Buccaneers. Get away from my team, dude. And get away from the Bears, too, man. Joe doesn't need
I haven't said or declared anything, so technically there is nothing that
can you just pick like a bad team already, so like they just continue to have a bad team?
Like, think about doing the Chiefs just to try it.
I actually do like that. I do like that to test it out.
Considering that, like, I'm literally the curse of all curses. So, I mean, I definitely could go that route too.
I need you to buy opening day tickets too. You could then be there for the opening day.
I just know that the Buccaneers down in Sao Paulo, Brazil. You want me to go down there?
They're not.
Renew my passport.
Casey's not.
Oh, I was thinking the Eagles for some
reason. Get away from it. Stop.
Go away. You're for Green Bay, man. Please. I'll pay you.
That's true. I could go down. Yeah, I could go down there and do that.
I don't want you anywhere near the Eagles. Stop.
I won't be near the Eagles, but okay. Well, that's all we got for this week. Man, did a little bit of a longer podcast than normal. I like this. We're going to have to get back in the swing of things here, but thank you all for tuning in. Follow us on Twitter at Ombre Vendor is myself, at OP Joe with 2 E's is Joe, and at Josh Hall STL. That's 1 H in the middle of that. 1 H in Josh Hall STL. Have to point it out every time. We really appreciate everyone that came up to the expo. Again, we appreciate anybody who may be listening to us for the first time. Awesome to have you in. Welcome to the Passel. We're always excited to welcome in new members to the group. We'll be doing this all season. For anybody who's out there, we'll be talking about game by game. We'll be talking about random topics. We'll be having on guests, people you've probably heard of, people you maybe haven't heard of. We will be talking to a lot of people all around the industry. So with all that being said, Joe, get us out of here.
All right. I'm going to go with the classified section. And if you have very bad luck rooting for a team like Billy does here, and you want to root for the Packers for me this year, I will give you an A.J. Dillon football card. So holler at me.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.